We have tons of news to get to on the show today, but first, Carl wants his job back.
You're Locked On Coyotes, your daily podcast on the Arizona Coyotes, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome to the show, everybody. This is Locked On Coyotes, number one daily podcast on the Arizona Coyotes. I'm your host, Robin Leonio, alongside Matthew Jacobson, Carl Pavlik, the Five for Howling, joining us in today's episode, brought to you by FanDuel. Make every moment more with FanDuel, the official sportsbook partner of the Locked On Podcast Network. Got a great show on today's episode because we're talking about a couple different things that came up in the last 24 hours, 24 to 48 hours for the Arizona Coyotes, Matthew and Jacob. As first of all, Bally Sports is probably not going to be broadcasting Coyotes games, and we're going to get some awesome rivalry hockey here in Arizona within the next month.
Yeah, you want to start off with the people that can't pay their bills? I think that's a good place to start.
Wait. Oh, God. We've been talking about people who can't pay their bills for a while now. All right. Yeah. Let's go ahead.
That's our entire show. I forgot. I'm sorry. It's the Coyotes cannot pay their bills, so it makes sense they're in business people that also cannot pay their bills anyway.
Yeah, let's go ahead and go to that. So, Diamond
Although,
Sports.
let's be fair, most of the NHL is with Bally Sports.
Shh. Only affects the Coyotes.
Yeah, no,
the Coyotes, Carl.
That's all we care about, the Coyotes. That's all anyone cares about.
Nobody wants to talk about this minor league team, even though everyone's always talking about this minor league team.
The news is very recent, but I just love how people are talking about something that I remember talking about on Twitter months ago, where it's like, hey, this sports network is collapsing. That's probably not going to be good for the NHL. And I was like, oh, is this a bad thing for the NHL? It's like, yeah. Bankruptcy for a network is bad.
It's kind of like the whole BioSteel thing, where it's almost like when one of your major partners is going kaput, you don't get paid. So now you have to scramble to find out where that revenue is going to come from. So there actually could be some legitimate real repercussions for the next couple of years. It'll iron itself out, but it's not a great thing.
Oh, absolutely.
I'm just glad Batman down the cap.
Yeah. It does bring me to the thought process, though, of what are we going to expect from the NHL in terms of all this? Because you took a look at what the MLB did when they took over practically all the previously Bally Sports broadcasted games. You took a look over what Matt Ishbia did for the Phoenix Suns and Phoenix Mercury and locally broadcasting their games to actual local cable. We know the Arizona Coyotes are like essentially 100% likely not going to be broadcasting any games this season on Bally Sports Arizona. What's the next step? What is the next step?
Bankruptcy. Fold the franchise. Ship them off to Quebec City. Am I doing this right?
I mean, you hit every step, I think. Maybe close to it.
I think we should let Carl play this one off. We'll prioritize the guest, and then I will shamelessly take his opinions and repackage them.
All right, so I see there being two possibilities. The first one is the NHL is smart. They saw this coming because people like me saw it coming, and I'm not smart. And they've already planned some kind of distribution method, like internet-based. You can get on Roku, and they're just waiting to announce it. But again, NHL has to be smart. So that's gonna happen. Channel 3, maybe, I guess, is probably, I would say, the most.
Is Cox 7 still a thing? I used to watch like Rattlers and Sting games on it back in the day.
It's like Year View or something like that, I think, if they call it now.
partner with that. But knowing the Coyotes, all right, the whole Ruigi thing. This is where this opinion is coming from. Knowing them, they'll make it as convoluted and expensive, needlessly expensive as possible. It's not going to be something like simple and logical like the Suns did. It's going to be something stupid. Hulu, screw it. It's Hulu.
I mean, right now you have a lot of out-of-market games already available on ESPN Plus. I mean, you can just package that in and just be like, all right, if you're in market, you can watch the Coyotes too.
That would be too simple and logical, and actually get rid of blackouts, which would be pro-consumer. When does the NHL ever lead in stuff like that? The MLB did it because they had to. Like, local blackouts are still a stupid thing.
No, it's going to be ESPN Plus through Hulu exclusively. So you have to have the package.
Don't forget your Disney
and
Plus
that's
bundle.
how they'll make it.
No, it's
complicated.
I got it. You have to buy the Arizona Coyotes package of the Disney bundle, including ESPN Plus.
It's like for the low price of like $60 a month, because you got all those Disney classics, plus we'll give you replays of like highlight packages for old games. You don't get full replays, you just get like highlight packages.
There's
you
so
can
much.
Start the game as soon as it's over.
I mean,
broadcast the first period when the game's already done.
It's interesting though that we're
way.
speculating at this point in the season, even though we're only like what, a little over a week away from the NHL regular season actually starting.
If that, I think it's literally a week, like 7 days or 6 days. The NHL loves to do things last minute. That's common knowledge. This is not an original criticism or critique. It's common knowledge. Yes, they have logically. Gary Bettman's not calling me. They have logically been working on a solution for months. No idea when that solution will be ready to announce. Like Carl was setting up there a little bit. This is gonna be funny because it's probably going to be handled terribly until it's not, and we all forget how terribly it was handled.
Yeah. It's be bad.
I mean,
honestly,
I will say this. There is we're dealing with a bankruptcy, so there are potential reasons why the NHL needs to make the second move. That is a possibility that there's legal stuff going on. I don't want to give the NHL too much credit though.
I appreciate that. I love this league. Love this game. I don't give them too much credit.
I mean, isn't that how all of us feel? Right?
Yes. I love this league. I wish the NHL was a different league. I wish it was the same product, just run by different people.
Yeah. It's going to be that way. But I guess we'll find out.
Are they going to bring Versus back? Are we going to do a Versus thing where instead of going with the ESPN deal for the viewership, you go with the higher money but lower viewership over a 10-year period or whatever it was?
Oh
Is
my
that
God.
what we're doing?
I missed Versus.
I love the logo. It had a very clean broadcast look, but I think not a lot of people had it. I had it, so.
Versus turned into NBC Sports, if I'm not mistaken. So
I think you're right.
I didn't follow it that hard. I just remember the logo. It was a little hockey puck, and it was cool.
It was definitely that way. But we still got more to get to on this episode of Locked On Coyotes. We're going to be talking about, well, let's say we got some rivalry hockey coming up. And it's not rivalry hockey including the Arizona Coyotes. I mean, it kind of is a little bit. Not even the Sun Devils quite yet.
It's always Sun Devils.
Not even the Sun Devils quite yet. I mean, I know I got my Wildcats, my U of A shirt right here, but that comes later. That comes later. We're gonna talk. We're gonna get to that in just a minute. But first, a quick word from our sponsors on the show.
And today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Snap into action this NFL season with FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Right now, new customers get $200 in bonus bets guaranteed when you place a $5 bet. That is $200 in bonus bets, win or lose. If you've been thinking about joining FanDuel, there's never been a better time to get into the action. The app is easy to use with a wide range of betting options, including spreads, player props, over-unders, and more. So visit FanDuel.com/lockedon and kick off the NFL season. FanDuel, official partner of the NFL.
All right, so I want to thank everyone for once again for making the show your first listen every day. We're free and available everywhere you get your podcasts. I highly encourage you, once you're done listening to this show, be sure to make your second listen for today. Locked on Diamondbacks. The Arizona Diamondbacks just made their way to the next round of the MLB playoffs. They're going to go off against the Los Angeles Dodgers. Boo! So go ahead and tune into the Locked on Diamondbacks to hear everything Diamondbacks. But back to the Locked on Coyotes show.
Can I jump in here for a second? It is weird that you dislike the Dodgers like the rest of us, when essentially from an ASU fan's perspective, you're a Dodgers fan. I said it. I'll say it again.
I think you broke me.
Because think about it. You're with us and hating the Dodgers, probably also the Kings, Lakers, I would assume, Rams. They can go to hell as well. All right, but then you also cheer for Tucson and minus the Roadrunners, because we give them an exception because they're a hockey team and they're affiliated with the Coyotes. You're wearing that disgusting A on your chest, so it's like the A on my hat is beautiful. The A on your chest, not so much. So like, you're basically a Dodgers fan.
God.
This is the reason I was brought on. I'm pretty good at the trash talking, and then everyone just looks around, awkwardly laughs, and wishes I would stop.
Yeah, we're literally, he very well knows I could fire him at this, with the tap of the finger, but I won't, because
I'm just playing with fire because I like to create chaos.
So you won't fire him because that'll prove his point.
Exactly. So I can do whatever I want. I can just I literally have a pitchfork just to poke the bear. That is my entire job.
No, but we're sure gonna get to some more ASU versus U of A banter as we get. But maybe we'll preview the game tomorrow. But
we really should.
Maybe even a little bit in this segment. I know a lot of you probably might be waiting for Matthew and I to place a friendly wager. We'll get to that a little bit later. But let's go ahead and actually get to the next bit of the show. USA versus Canada. Women's hockey. Everyone knows the US-Canada women's hockey rivalry is one of the most heated in all of hockey. Not just in women's hockey, not just in international hockey, but in all of hockey. The US-Canada, everyone wants to watch the US-Canada rivalry game anywhere it is. It's coming right here to Arizona, the first game of a series.
Yeah, can I just comment, as someone who covers the ASU women's team for my YouTube channel, that it's cool that for whatever reason, Mullet Arena has kind of just become like a lightning rod for women's hockey in the state, because you had technically the first ever ASU game played at Mullet Arena was between the ASU and GCU women. It was like a couple of days before the opening series for the men. You had the it wasn't Kelly Cup. I'm terrible with names. It was the championship for the PHF. Isabel Cup. Thank you very much. The Isabel Cup last year. Now you're getting a rivalry game between USA and I almost said ASU. Wow, I am tired. USA and Canada, eh? It's pretty cool how that just kind of happened, and the growth of the game in any context is a good thing. I can't help but feel all of this has to mean good things for the women's program, hopefully at some point going NCAA like the men's program did.
Oh, absolutely. And I think that's the important part. I said this when it was announced. I think I'm not sure if you were listening, if you were part of the show, Matthew, at this time, but I know Carl was here when I said it's pretty much that a game like that, when it comes in to a game like this coming to Arizona, like the Isabel Cup did when it came here, what it did, not just for women's hockey, but for just for all of hockey in general. Here locally, it is huge. We love to grow the game here locally and to show how important hockey is in the community here, and how strong the hockey community is. People don't see that. I think games like this is something that really kind of ignites that puts a microscope on the actual community here.
Yeah, and hopefully this one, because obviously the PHF, it was Ottawa and Minnesota, so
No,
it
it was
wasn't
Toronto and Minnesota.
Oh, it was Toronto. Oh, it has the same colors as Ottawa. My apologies, but it's a Canadian team in Minnesota. I wouldn't expect that to exactly sell out, but USA Canada should be a sellout, and I want to see more passion in that building because hey, let's keep getting more like neutral site games here. Let's keep getting more high profile games at Mullet Arena, and then when this new building goes up at the Shane Doan Arena, I don't know who the sponsor's going to be, so we'll call it Shane Doan Arena for now. This is really cool, and hopefully it's leading to more really cool stuff we're going to get that we simply would not have gotten still playing at GRA.
Carl, what do you think?
So like both of you, I'm very excited about it. I remember in the early 2000s when I first started covering hockey, like the USA Canada Women's Olympic Games were like the best kept secret in hockey. And now they've kind of progressed beyond that. But I agree with Matthew, especially about having Mullet Arena be a neutral site. I remember when we first saw a game there, Robin, like my first thought was, hey, why not have a Frozen Four here? This would be great. Or a World Juniors. Like this is like a really good site for it. And I think that just kind of like any kind of like series like this that's kind of like in the country, like just Mullet Arena needs to be in the conversation every single time.
Yeah, I completely agree. Especially if you can, every single one of these events needs to do this. Coyotes, you need to get a lot better at this. Also, try to embrace the student section and the student atmosphere there because it's the most unique. And I've said it before, I'll say it again. And I want to thank Carl for setting this one up here. But I get to say this again. It's Mullet Arena for hockey and the Snake Pit for the Rattlers that are the two objectively best environments in Arizona sports. And like the fact that ASU hockey, those kids turn up and like that entire student section gets ridiculous. It is freaking awesome to see live.
Oh yeah, and I don't doubt it. And I think that is the like important part is when you embrace a certain aspect. A lot of people, again, and I would say when I mean a lot of people, I'm talking about hockey outsiders, the ones who are outside of Arizona, who just love to, put down Mullet Arena just because it is currently the temporary home of the Coyotes and it's small. People like to put it down because there's like, oh, it sucks. It does not suck. It is absolutely a phenomenal place. If you say it sucks, you've never been there. Look, I love the place. I embrace the hell out of it, even as a Wildcat. Like, yes, it might be an ASU facility, but holy crap, that place is rocking no matter what.
Yeah, and look, it's completely valid to say, oh, it's not an NHL building because it's not. It was designed from the ground up to be a college building. You
embrace what it is for right
correct.
now, and even then, you still embrace it even after the Coyotes leave into the permanent arena because, like what Carl said, you can put you can have a couple games of like a World Juniors there and probably potentially share it with the bigger arena if you want to on the championship game. You can have a lot of other events come down there because that ice quality, I will tout it once again. If you have never skated on the ice, either at the Mountain America Iceplex right attached to it, or in the Mullet Arena ice, if you're lucky, it is phenomenal. There's nothing like it. Even NHL players say it is the best ice they've ever skated on in the NHL.
Yeah, very high praise, very well earned.
I'm just gonna say, like, one of the big conditions about the Coyotes playing there was that they do upgrades to facilities, and that's upgrades you're going to see in your average college arena. So sure, it's not NHL ice, it's not like an NHL quality building, but it is probably, I would say, the best college arena that you can get, just because I don't necessarily see a lot of colleges putting in the level of materials to be an NHL caliber thing, to actually have NHL games played there for a regular season.
Yeah, the only other college buildings that I gotta be very careful when I talk. When I talk to people at Mullet Arena, like the only other college buildings that ever can really come up in conversations are like, I think it's UND or like Minnesota State. But as someone who has literally seen, and it had explained to you what the upgrades are, they're there and they're pretty solid. So it was a pretty good deal for ASU. And on top of that, Craig Morgan was reporting multiple times that the idea behind the annex essentially is when the Coyotes leave, you now have extra lockers in order to do tournaments, because the building designer, the engineer, said one of the biggest regrets was not putting enough locker facilities, so you can't have those big tournaments like the Desert Hockey Classic. You know, everyone saw the footage. They were using the temporary lockers, so it's like, you know, having those available
inside the community rink.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, oh my God. So when it's like, so it's already showing that it's a good investment for ASU and the building itself, because they'll be able to host more tournaments, and stuff like the Desert Hockey Classic is fun too. Like it's a solid environment.
Absolutely. And I only hope to see more of these. Once again, I think the U.S. versus Canada against the Rivalry Series, I think it's I forget exactly how many games, maybe 6-7 games. First at Mullet Arena on, I believe the date is November 8th, with the, I think tickets go on sale to the public tomorrow when everyone's listening. So on Friday. So, hey, if you, or unless you had the pre-sale link already, but get your tickets, watch the game, watch some college women's hockey.
Is Sarah Nurse still on? Was it Team Canada, and then Amanda Kessel on USA? The players I know.
We'll get to the breakdown as we get closer to it. As we, we'll see if we can get some media coverage down there as well, because we can.
Yeah, because the only thing is, like, my wife embraces the meme of Team Canada has the better nurse.
It's all about best Kessel.
Yeah, Team USA has the best Kessel. Team Canada has the better nurse.
All right, we're gonna continue this episode of Locked On Coyotes in just a sec. We're gonna talk to we're gonna get to pick Carl's brain on how he thinks the Arizona Coyotes are going to play this season. We're gonna get to that in just a moment, but first, a quick word from our sponsors on the show. And today's episode is brought to you by Indeed. When you're drafting your fantasy team, do you ever wish you could do the same thing with your business team? If you're building a roster to win the league, you need Indeed. Indeed is the hiring platform where you can attract, interview, and hire all in one place. Don't spend hours on multiple job sites looking for candidates with the right skills when you can do it all with Indeed. Indeed knows when you're growing your own business, so you have to make every dollar count. That's why Indeed, you only pay for quality applications that match your must-have job requirements. Just go to visit Indeed.com/lockedon to start hiring now. Just go to Indeed.com/lockedon. Once again, that's Indeed.com/lockedon. Terms and conditions apply. Cost per application. Pricing not available to everybody. Need to hire? You need Indeed.
Indeed, you do. I forgot to unmute and throw in there.
And let's continue today's episode of Locked On Coyotes, as we're getting ready to get some closing thoughts here in these last couple minutes. The regular season is coming up, and we brought Carl Pavlik. I think it's the first time we brought Carl on since the election, so a lot has happened over the offseason. Now I want to get Carl's brain on what he thought about this offseason and his expectations for the Arizona Coyotes this year.
So I think the offseason was probably better than I could have expected. I remember the first day, the signing of Zucker, and I was just like, I didn't have this on my board. I didn't think that this was going to be the kind of moves that they were going to make. I remember, like, a lot of people on talking about Dumbo coming on. I'm like, yeah, that'd be good if it can happen. I'm not necessarily guaranteeing it to be a thing. And then it happened. I remember Logan Cooley committing to going back to college, and then that changed. So I'm like, oh, okay. There's a lot of good moving parts here. I don't know if it's enough to get the team to the playoffs, but I do think that they are going to be like in the wild card race at least until like pretty late in the season.
I think it's a good assessment.
I see Carl's been reading my show notes.
I mean, like, look, I think it's not. I think it's a common belief by a lot of us within Coyotes media, and even like Coyotes fans who actually fully pay attention and try to keep as objective as they can, while staying positive. This team does look a lot better than last year. I think that's without a doubt. I think even a lot of other national reporters are actually seeing that. Some national reporters still heavily underrate the Arizona Coyotes, but what we're taking a look at is a team that, again, has gotten a lot better, has added a lot of amazing assets. That, and I mentioned it. If you were on YouTube earlier yesterday, you saw that we released previews in the entire Western Conference. You saw I was talking with Locked On Wild Coast Steph Topol about the Arizona Coyotes and expectations. I pretty much mentioned that this team is going to flirt with the playoff spot as well. This team's going to be close. They maybe for a decent amount of time, they're going to be on their outside looking in, and or maybe even the inside looking out. Who knows? I think that's the thing, Carl. You you have a very similar thought to a lot of us, and I think that really speaks to the just the level of convincing of what this team has done just over the last few months.
Yeah, and I know I asked Craig in the monthly mailbag how long he thinks the Coyotes have a playoff spot this year, and I referenced for no reason they were in the playoffs for I think it was 24 or 48 hours last year. It was a ridiculous day or two, and we were all memeing on it. So I'm like, so referencing that, how long will they be in? And I said my bet's about a week. I think a week, maybe a week and a half. They'll be in a playoff spot, but they won't actually make it. And he's like, if they can, start, it depends on that starting road trip. If they could play pretty well there, they'll stay in it for a while. That's all we want. We want them to flirt around there. We want them to be around wild card. They're not going to be a playoff team this year. If they are, I'll be very happy, but it's not going to happen this year. But if you make the fans think that you're going to, I mean, there's going to be times they're going to look like a playoff team. We all know this. There's going to be moments and stretches where, this team can make the playoffs. And that's the excitement you need to keep building momentum and adjusting the roster for that brand new building and that deep playoff run you're going to make.
I also kind of wonder, what is going to be like. You may be overrated. I can imagine just being last in the division, and that is kind of a good recipe for a team like the Coyotes to with the bubble.
I'm gonna shake my head and agree because unfortunately I couldn't hear you, Carl. But what Carl just said was spitting facts, regardless.
All right, we are running out of time here, though. I do want to put that out there. But one more thing I want to get from Carl, and it's just I want to get his thoughts on three words, and that is Logan Cooley.
I am very excited for Logan Cooley. Australia goal. It was very fun. I cannot wait to see of Zucker, Cooley, and Gunther.
Locked on Cooley, boys. Locked on Cooley.
Cooley all day, every day. We love to hear it. Once again, Carl Pavlik, we really appreciate you having you on. Please plug into everybody where we can find you and what is going on with Fife for Howling.
So Five for Howling is now part of the For Hockey Fans network, which is a network made up of a lot of people who used to be on another hockey network who were suddenly fired midway through last season. So we're relaunching that. there's actually like a few sites that were dormant. So like the California sites are back, and it's really exciting. And we're hopeful for a lot of stuff. And there's going to be hopefully a lot more Five for Howling content. Otherwise, we are on Twitter. We're 5 4 Word Howling, and on Blue Sky. It's the same thing. However, you do Blue Sky handles.
Oh, we love to hear it. Hopefully, we're all going to be on Blue Sky soon. I know all of us are, but we'll get to that at another point. Anyways, once again, Carl, thanks for coming on today's show. Really appreciate it. And thanks everyone for listening to today's episode of the Locked On Coyotes podcast. If you like what you heard, don't forget to leave a review, like, comment, subscribe if you've yet to already. We're available everywhere you get your podcasts, including on YouTube and the SiriusXM radio app, and ad-free on Amazon Music. Also, don't forget to interact with us on social media. We're on Facebook, facebook.com/LockedOnCoyotes. On the app formerly known as Twitter, now known as X, at @LO_Coyotes. I'm personally at Robin_Leonio. Matthew Jacobson is at the AZ Sports Guy. And interact with us, ask a question you might have. We might answer right back or on a future episode of the Locked On Coyotes podcast. Thanks again, everyone, for listening to today's episode. Hope you guys are staying safe out there. Hope you guys are staying healthy. And don't forget to howl on.